Yo, what's going on, guys? Jeremias here, and welcome back to another video. So, the other day I was just scrolling through eBay, not looking for anything in particular, just trying to find anything interesting if I wanted to get anything. I didn't really have a specific item in mind that I was really going for, just looking at whatever comes up. Anyways, while I was doing that, somehow I came across this listing right here. And honestly, I was a bit surprised to see this. I was like, $150 for this shit? Yeah, as someone who's collected figures and stuff like that, I'm very well aware on how once something gets older, and especially if the item is unique enough, or if the manufacturer no longer holds the license to that certain property, obviously these products are going to skyrocket in price. Now, if you're not very familiar with this product, you're probably thinking right now, why is this so shocking to you that it's possibly going for this much? Well, yeah, it is a cool looking Sonic Generations statue. You don't really see anything wrong with it from these images I'm showing you right now. Well, the reason for that is because this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, collectible Sonic statue I've ever seen. And it just might be the worst piece of Sonic merchandise I currently own. And like I said, just looking at these images, you can't really tell if there's anything wrong with it. It just looks pretty standard. And I haven't shown you any footage from the one I own, and I've just been showing these standard pictures for a reason. Now, this is what this statue actually looks like out of box in person. And you can already tell that it's not looking too great without even going into the finer details. Obviously, the modern Sonic is just falling down and leaning on the classic Sonic. And before I get into the very detailed review of this figure and why I think it's so bad, other than just this part, let me just get into the background of this statue and the story of how I got mine and, all that stuff. And also, this explains why the statue is the way it is right now. So this thing is officially called the Sonic Generations Commemorative Statue. And obviously it released for Sonic's 20th anniversary to celebrate and alongside Sonic Generations. Although this didn't actually come out in the anniversary year 2011, it came out very early in 2012, I think around January or so. Also, inside the box for this, it actually came with codes you put into Sonic Generations, at least the Xbox 360 and PS3 PC version of the game, that give you the statues to collect in the collection room of the game. But I didn't have that version of the game at the time. When I got Sonic Generations, I had the 3DS version, so that part was basically useless to me. Anyways, when I first got it, I didn't get it until the summer of that year, 2012, on my birthday. I actually went to the store to go buy it. My mom brought me there, and I think it was at Toys R Us when they used to sell these. Probably, yeah, that's probably where I was. I wasn't really thinking of getting a specific, Sonic figure in mind or anything like that. I just found this, I thought it looked cool. I picked it up, and if I remember correctly, this was a long time ago, but it was probably retailed for anywhere between $15 and $20 or something like that. It wasn't too expensive. Anyways, I bought it, I got out of there, and we had to go to our next stop, which was to buy a few other things somewhere else. And of course, I left the figure in the car, and being summer and all, it was super hot outside. And this might just seem like a pretty insignificant detail, but keep this in mind because it's actually very important when it comes to this figure. Anyways, eventually I did get home, and I opened this thing up, and straight out of the box, believe it or not, the modern Sonic just starts leaning over on the classic Sonic. And yeah, it was pretty bad, and it only got worse over time to the point where, it became how it is now, as you see here. Now, immediately after this, I actually did look up, reviews of the statue and all of that to see what other people thought of this, if it wasn't just me, and this actually turns out to be a common problem with this statue. And I do remember at the time a lot of people were saying that this just melts easily in the heat, and to just not leave it anywhere where the sun could be on it or it could get really hot. So honestly, I was like, oh fuck, that's probably my fault for leaving it in there. I shouldn't have done that. And actually, before I even recorded this video, while I was looking for some more information on the statue, because I didn't remember exactly which year it came out, so that's the information I was looking for, and I came across this article from the Sonic Stadium. Merch collector claims my statue melted on a warm day, and it was actually talking about the statue and how it melted for him too. But honestly, I really don't think it's just the heat that messes with this figure, because almost every picture I see of this, there's always something wrong with one of the Sonics, either leaning over or something like that. People who have it straight out of the box, these old videos that probably weren't in as warm temperatures as my figure was, and I can only imagine that they still got worse over time. So yes, this is a pretty cheap statue, so the materials are probably a bit cheap, but I think it's still unacceptable that this stuff happens to it, whether it was in 90-degree weather or it was just in room temperature straight out the box, and it still bends over a little bit like I've seen in some cases. Obviously, I'm not going to expect something like premium for just 15 bucks, but come on, you gotta make these things at least stand up so they can be presentable somewhere. Anyways, that little story just explains how the Sonic is like that, and basically my thoughts on this whole, leaning over thing. That's probably the worst part of the figure and the most notable flaw. But that's actually not the only part that's wrong with this statue. Let's just take a closer look at things. Of course, as I just mentioned, these materials are pretty cheap, so that causes it to bend over and all that. But looking closer, the paint job on this is just horrible, probably one of the worst I've ever seen. On my classic Sonic right here, look, his muzzle tone doesn't even match his belly. His muzzle is a bit like orange and it's like a very different shade from the rest of it, like his belly and his arms. Also, obviously on his eyes, it kind of looks like he's squinting because they painted that blue there. It looks pretty bad. And of course, look, the nose, and some of it is like chipped off. It's not good at all, really. It's very poorly done, and the same thing goes for the modern Sonic. Right here in his arm, it's pretty bad, and on both figures there's like these cracks or whatever. I don't really know what to call them, but you can see them right here. They're very noticeable, and it just makes it look so much worse. And yeah, more cracks around the shoes here, as you can see. Here we got this little dash effect on both modern and classic Sonic to have that little running effect and make them stand. Well, they're supposed to stand up at least. Nothing much to say about that. It's just alright, I guess. It's nothing special. And of course, they're on a ring, and that's the base. Nothing much to say about that. This statue probably would have been a very cool collector's item if at least it could stand up, and it has a lot of other problems too, but at least from a distance, if they were both able to stand up like this, it wouldn't have been as bad, and it at least would have been presentable, like somewhere you could just display it, but you can't even do that when they're just both leaning over like this. And yeah, that's basically why this is probably the worst collectible Sonic statue ever, and probably one of the worst things I own that's Sonic related as well. If you ever come across one of these online, just remember this video, that these are totally not worth it, especially for such an expensive price, like nowadays for like $100-something. Sure, I have seen some listings on the lower side of things, maybe like 60s or something like that. It's still pretty pricey for me, but definitely don't get one out of box, especially if you're like a collector or something. If you're a collector and you want to shell out some money on this for whatever reason and you have it, just make sure to get it in box, and obviously not open it, because they'll just fall over like this. I've seen some listings on eBay and whatnot for this out of box, and you can even tell in the picture that they're both leaning over, just not as bad as this one. Just keep that in mind if you're ever looking out for one of these for whatever reason. And if you just want a cool looking Sonic statue or like a generation statue, there's much better options out there for you to be able to find. This I definitely wouldn't recommend for anyone who just wants like a cool looking statue or something like that. Anyways, that's probably it for this video. This has been the worst Sonic collectible statue ever. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're a fan of this channel and you've been watching for a while, you've probably noticed that my audio quality is much better, and that's actually because I've gotten a new mic, so my audio is going to be so much better from now on. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, join the Discord. We have some cool people in there. You can just hang out, talk to people, and I'm pretty active in there too right now. As always, make sure to like and sub if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.